Welcome to a special year-end episode for Thinking That Matters. I'm Elizabeth Mahusay, your podcast host, and I am excited to provide for you a top 10 episode list for our 2025 Thinking That Matters podcast. And when my producer sent me the list, some of them I was like, yes. And others I was like, whoa, I can't wait to share this list with you. So I'm going to start from 10. I'm going to work my way down. I'm going to give you some of my perspective on each one, and we're going to work our way through. So I've got to get started so I can be mindful of our time. Coming in at number 10, a teen's battle against long COVID and chronic illness. So this episode was with Karis Hill. Absolutely loved this interview. At 14, her life is turned upside down. She contracted long COVID and what ended up being a very chronic, long-standing illness, a lot of uncertainty about her future. And in the episode, when I sat down with Karis and her mom, Laura, what I appreciated was it was raw. They were super forthright, but it was so hope-filled within our conversation. And Karis really demonstrated and communicated about her resilience, her faith, and how reframing life when it's hard really does make a difference. And 4 years from that time, so she turned 18 just after I recorded the episode, she went from being bedbound and unable to hold simple conversations to now living with this amazing intentional hope and humility and trust in God. What an amazing testimony she brought to the show. And really just being able to hear from her mom, who served as her nurse, her advocate, her protector. When you listen to that episode, you'll hear how they just opened up, and just the gravity of recognizing questions that Karis as a teenager was having to answer that we would hope no teenager is having to answer. Like, will I ever be able to drive? Will I be able to go to college? But the two of them together revealed such a small yet powerful choice every day, where they were able to find help for healing and renewed purpose. So that was number 10. You got to go. If you've not listened to it, you need to go and check it out. Okay, let's go to number 9, titled When Success Isn't Enough. And this was where I interviewed Scott. We will save his last name. And he was an episode where it was only audio, and it was such a profound conversation. It really centered around what happens when you realize that everything you're chasing, like success and money and influence, is just leaving you empty. And it's a powerful episode. And Scott, he just shared how he walked away from worldly ambition to pursue something eternal. So from early years in New Orleans to a life-changing moment at Texas A&M, he really shared how he went from running from God to running towards him and really everything that God had for him. And you'll also get to hear about how he and his family now dedicate their lives to reaching the unreached, which is 1.77 billion people who have never heard the gospel, and how you can take your own step, or next step, I should say, in obedience, whether it's praying for someone or starting a conversation or deepening your walk with God. So be sure to check out the episode with Scott. Number 8, letting go of titles and finding true significance with Sarah Neale. Now, Sarah and I were part of Leadership McKinney, class of 25, and I really appreciated my conversation with Sarah because we really talked about the importance of next step in the ladder of success. And in her episode, we talked about how she's a 24-year veteran of the title industry. And we really were unpacking for her how she traded corporate titles and the burnout that came with trying to pursue them for peace and purpose and personal fulfillment. And she shares a part of her journey, and I loved it, where she's like starting out at the front desk to leading teams across Texas. And she really discovered in that season how leadership actually isn't about titles at all. It is actually about serving others. And so you'll get to hear how she learned to redefine success and embrace humility and find joy, and also just being a true resource for people. So I would say if you've ever questioned whether the climb is worth it, or you have felt that internal tension between do my ambitions align with my vision and my values for my life, then you definitely want to check out the conversation that I had with Sarah. I know that you will definitely appreciate it. Number 7, connecting passion to purpose with Dr. Stephanie Robinson. Oh my goodness. So I got to interview Dr. Robinson right after she was named the new executive director for Volunteer McKinney. And we had such an amazing time together. We explored about how she's leading this team of really passionate people that desire to connect folks to opportunities where they can volunteer, to connect them to causes of nonprofits where they can really find that connection and serve within that organization. So everything from helping high school students with volunteer opportunities to equipping nonprofit leaders with tools that they need to thrive. Volunteer McKinney is definitely making service simpler, impactful, personal. And here's the thing, I had the privilege of leading a panel for Volunteer McKinney after I had interviewed her for one of their executive breakfasts, and it was tremendous. So if you want to know more about the heart and the passion behind this volunteer mission, then you want to check out number 7 on the list of top 10, my interview with Dr. Stephanie Robinson. Number 6, what theater and storytelling teach us about life. And this was with DeAnna Stone, another one of my Leadership McKinney classmates, and loved this conversation where we were talking about how the stories that we tell ourselves impact us. Because oftentimes the stories we're telling ourselves are actually holding us back from becoming who we were meant to be. So DeAnna Stone, she's the executive drama director, and she's a community leader and also a storyteller in the historic Chestnut Square. And so she and I explored storytelling, just self-awareness, and also faith, and how it can help us move beyond the limiting beliefs and to live more authentically. And really, we tapped into these years of experience that she's had as in the theater, and also her local work in preserving history, especially in the local downtown McKinney area. And I'm telling you, she shared some really powerful lessons about awareness, compassion, courage, the things that it takes to rewrite the narratives we are living by. And I also appreciated how she shared about being present on stage and how that translates to being present in life. Because when we're truly present, it's reshaping how we lead, how we connect, how we find opportunity just in the everyday moments. And the thing that I appreciated about my conversation with DeAnna was just what I'm finding for my own self, that I can be so distracted by the phone or the smartwatch that I'm not present. Like, I desire to be present, but I'm distracted. And because I'm distracted, I'm not fully present. And so I know you will appreciate are number 6 in our top 10 with DeAnna Stone. Number 5, turning pain into purpose. This is about finding hope after loss. And this was my interview with Erica Vedane. Let me tell you, Erica spoke for my Powerful Women Growth Group. And she shared there just so vulnerably about this deep pain when you walk the path of loss and death, and how she was able to articulate turning that into growth so articulately. I was like, I must have you on the podcast. And let me tell you, that interview did not disappoint. Erica, she is an insurance professional with Mahusay Bynum Insurance. She's also a small business owner, and she is very much a community leader. And so we discussed like faith and mindset and the need for courage. All of these things helped her to rebuild after the loss. So speaking of loss, she lost her mother, her grandmother, and her brother within 2 years. And so she faced a lot of crossroads, or she faced specifically a crossroad, like she could stay stuck in grief, or she could allow God to transform her pain into a purpose that drives her every day. And she did talk about that. Her faith was important. She's done counseling. She really works to renew her thinking. She stepped into this new career of insurance. And I mean, in that new career, she was rising to the top of the district after joining an independent agency where she now is located. She's continuing to thrive in that space. And here's the thing, out of her healing came this new dream for her own small business called Celebrate and Decorate. And it's a local party rental business, and it comes out of this desire that she has to spread joy and to help others mark milestones, like, the signs that say happy birthday or happy anniversary. And I will tell you, when you watch that episode, especially if you watch the video portion, you will see the joy radiating from Erica. She is someone that truly exudes the recognition that life is short and we want to make it count. So that's number 5. Number 4, how creativity fuels growth with Andrea Holmes. Okay, so Andrea, I met at an open house for the new class of Leadership McKinney, of which she is part. And we were having this conversation, and I realized that she is this amazing mural artist, and she's done a huge number of murals in the McKinney area. She said it's easier to tell you which ones she hasn't done because that's how many she has done. And we sat down in the studio to have a conversation around talent and creativity. And the question that we were answering is, what if creativity isn't actually about talent, but about the choices that you make? And I loved this conversation. It was inspiring. And, as a mural painter, and she's painted murals in other countries and not only in the Metroplex, but around the US. And so we really explored this idea of what does it mean to live creatively? Whether it's running a business or creatively leading a team or learning how to think creatively, which could just simply mean thinking outside the box or choosing to think about it differently. And so Andrea, she really in the episode unpacked this idea that creativity is ultimately an exercise in decision making, and how anyone can move past the limiting belief of, quote, I'm not creative. And so she shares her journey from juggling multiple jobs to becoming a full-time artist, as well as this surprising role that technology plays in her mural process, which I thought was super cool. And in our conversation, she revealed this whole concept of reframing past experiences, how that prepares you for future successes. And also, she talks about the persistence and play and self kindness, how those are essential to cultivating one's growth. So, her story really. It really shows creativity isn't just an artistic skill. It is a mindset that fuels possibility in our life. And I'll tell you, that really resonated with me because I used to be one of those people that would say, I'm not creative. And I'm married to a creative. He's behind a camera. He does all this cool creative stuff. I've learned, though, over the years that I actually am creative. I'm just creative in ways that are different from Andrea as a mural artist, from my husband as a photographer, but I'm definitely creative in that space. So I encourage you to listen to that episode as well. So that was number 4. Number 3, taking Jesus to school. This was where we looked at how educators can live their faith with Dr. Jackie Miner. Oh my goodness. So I got connected to Dr. Miner through one of my previous high school students all the way back in Tampa, Florida, Allison, who sent a Facebook message between the two of us and was like, I need the two of you to connect. And it turns out that Dr. Jackie Miner lives just south of here. So I'm in McKinney, Texas. She is south of me. And she has written a book about taking Jesus to school. And that was the question that we were answering. What does that really mean when we think about it? So she is a lifelong educator, a trainer, and her book specifically is called Taking Jesus to School, The Fruit of the Spirit on Display. So we explored how Christian educators can live out their faith authentically, not in a, I guess I'm trying to think about the word that I want, but the key is she is a champion for Christian educators to be able to walk into classrooms, to lead within the public school sector, even in cultural or institutional locations where oftentimes there are pressures that would have someone questioning whether or not they can take their faith to school. She really addresses that in the context of her book. So if you've ever wrestled with how to integrate faith into your professional life, be it in the educational arena or in some other professional arena, without compartmentalizing it, this conversation is going to give you a lot of practical, seriously, grace-filled wisdom for displaying Christ's love daily. And this episode was really important to me because I am a faith-led entrepreneur. I am unashamedly a follower of Christ. I recognize that people who even listen to this podcast aren't people of faith, or they might be of different faith traditions. And I respect that. I am also very bold and courageous in the expression of my own faith. And so this episode really meant a lot to me to be able to have that conversation around that. Okay, here we go. Number 2, overcoming grief and finding hope through faith with DeAnna Dotson. Man, even just thinking back to this episode, I could probably break into some tears here because it was so powerful. Because the question we were answering is, what do you do when your life is shattered in an instant? It was an emotional episode with DeAnna. She's a banking center manager at American National Bank. She and I network together, and we talked about her journey through this unimaginable loss of her son and the faith that carries her forward every single day. And she opened up about the death of her son. Like, I want you to think raw emotion of grief and the struggle between faith and the human vulnerability piece. She shares just the unexpected ways that God showed up and still shows up in her pain, and how she returns to peace when it feels impossible. So if you've ever faced grief or uncertainty, seasons where emotions threaten to overwhelm you, then this conversation is going to offer you a lot of spiritual encouragement, a lot of practical wisdom to help you keep moving forward. And here's the thing I want you to know, like, it's so authentic, because what so amazes me about DeAnna is that when I first met her, I had no idea about what happened to her son, and it was tragic. And I mean, she shows up with a smile on her face and joy in her heart, and she desires to serve people, and she always speaks words of encouragement. Oh, I'm telling you, it reminds me of why it's so important to remember that we are not guaranteed another day. She's such an amazing example of that. So thank you, DeAnna, for that. So that was number 2. Okay, number 1. I got to tell you. Okay, I got to get myself together. Woo. Number 1. I cannot wait for number 1 to be revealed on social media, because this gal, I believe, is going to be going, what? Number 1 episode for 2025, Feeling Stuck. How to Break Through and Build Success with Katherine Gold. She was so hesitant to come on the show. She thought, how can I possibly have anything of value to offer? Another one of my Leadership McKinney classmates. And we talked about what is it like to feel stuck, like watching other people move forward while it feels like you're standing still. And so in the episode, Katherine, she's a private banker with Frost Bank. Her journey really proves this idea or concept that success isn't linear. And see, that's the thing. We tend to want to think of time as linear, and it's not. And success isn't either. You go up, you go down. You're somewhere midline, and so she talks about from burnout to closed doors. Like, she went to pastry school in Europe. Yes, you heard me correctly. Then she got back into banking. And so Katherine shares just so many pivotal moments. Man, you can hear the resilience. You'll be able to pinpoint mindset shifts that really helped her build her own path to success. And she also opened up about these subtle traps of comparison and how breaking free from that comparison really changed everything for her. And I loved it when she started reflecting on the unexpected lessons that she learned in pastry school in Spain, and how curiosity and courage, and she had to learn how to ask better questions. Those all fueled her professional and personal growth. Oh, and she also highlighted the influence of family and culture, and also support systems and the role they play in shaping a person's long-term success. Her story is so incredibly powerful, and it is definitely a reminder that you don't know who you can become until you invest the same energy, belief, and determination in yourself. And listen, I will tell you, it was so spectacular. So those are my top 10. I want to encourage you to drop a comment on which episodes impacted you the most. Let us know so that we can celebrate those episodes as well. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. Leave a review to extend our reach, and tune in, because we've got some amazing episodes coming for 2026. I'm Elizabeth Mahusay, the host of Thinking That Matters, and I am so grateful that you have chosen to advance your thinking, to cultivate thinking that matters, because when you cultivate thinking that matters, you live a life that matters.